You're sitting in class, looking at the clock and wondering, why am I here? You're not alone. Around the world, thousands of people drop out of school, college, and university every year. In the US alone, 40% undergrad students drop out every year. And out of those staying, only 14% at undergrad level and 37% at grad level finish their studies within 6 years time period. And not just in the US. In the country where I grew up, around 50% students drop out of school at primary school level, and not just in the rural areas. The dropout rate in the urban areas of Pakistan was so drastic in the recent years that last year government decided to offer free lunches at select schools in low-income areas as an incentive to keep students in the school.
महकमा स्कूल एजुकेशन पंजाब ने लाहौर में 5वीं जमात तक के स्कूलों में स्कूल मील प्रोग्राम का आगाज किया है।
But what if dropping out is the best decision you could make for your life? After all, people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Oprah Winfrey all dropped out of school and went on to become wildly successful. And they're not alone. Taylor Swift, Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Britney Spears, and Rihanna never went to college. Although Taylor does have an honorary doctorate from NYU. And if you thought it's just entrepreneurs and celebrities, how about lawyers and US presidents? Did you know that Lincoln became president and practiced law without a law degree? George Washington never went to college or received any formal education. And then there are countless successful people making videos on YouTube about why quitting school or never going to college in the first place was the best decision they ever made about their lives. But why is it happening? Why are so many people quitting school or quitting college or dropping out? And am I crazy to be pursuing a Ph.D. to figure that out for myself and for hopefully some of you? We need to go back in time. In the late 18th and early 19th century, the Industrial Revolution was in full swing. The world was changing rapidly and industries were booming. However, there was a problem. The factories needed a large workforce, and most people did not have the skills or the knowledge required to work in these industries. This led to a demand for education on a massive scale. In Europe, Prussia was the first country to make education mandatory in 1763, and soon other countries followed suit. In America, the push for mandatory education began in the early 1800s, where Horseman being one of the most prominent advocates, he believed that education was necessary to create a virtuous and productive society. Horseman became the Secretary of Massachusetts Board of Education in 1837 and started a campaign to make public education free and, more importantly, mandatory for all children in the States. But mandatory education was not just a Western phenomenon. In Japan, the Meiji Restoration in 1868 led to the establishment of a mandatory education system modeled much after the West. In China, the Qing dynasty established a national education system in the early 20th century. In Africa, the British colonial administration introduced a system of Western education in the late 19th century with the aim of creating a loyal and educated workforce. And then religion also played a role in the history of mandatory education. In America, missionaries established these boarding schools for Native Americans to basically separate them from their families and assimilate more American values into them and make them so-called civilized and convert them to Christianity. In India, the British colonial administration also established these schools to teach the Indians English and Christian values. Which, by the way, I don't know about India, but we still have these missionary schools in Pakistan to this date that teach education completely modeled after the British education system. So much of our education system today is still modeled after a legacy system that was aimed at producing factory workers. The 9-to-5 routine is more aligned with preparing you to become a factory worker and work in a 9-to-5 routine than a relaxed environment that is crucial for learning. And the skills taught at school are more aligned towards making you an office worker or a factory worker, and they teach you nothing that goes outside your professional or work life. That's why you're not taught how to do taxes at school, you're not taught how to do budgeting at school, or how to manage your relationships in your education. You're not taught anything basically that goes beyond the scope of your office or factory work. And that right there is the problem. This doesn't align well with people who don't necessarily need or want a 9-to-5 office job or office work or be a factory worker. That's why more and more entrepreneurs, musicians, artists, and politicians and even freelancers are choosing to spend their time elsewhere than college or university. And that, in my opinion, is why college and university has failed you as a human being. But the fact remains that if you do have an undergraduate degree, you earn 35% more than those without an undergraduate degree. For example, if you have a high school diploma, you have a 12% chance of living below a poverty line. Whereas if you decide to spend a few more years in school and university and college and get an undergraduate degree, the chance of you living below poverty line reduces down to 4%. So which one is it? Is college and university in the end worth it or not? The problem with all of those statistics about people who went to college versus who didn't, and the income disparity and all that, is that these statistics are collected too late. We have no data from the beginning about what was their aptitude in the first place. So that's the solution, in my opinion. We need periodic aptitude tests to determine from an early age about people who are not suited for a 9-to-5 office work or a factory job, and then develop an education system that is suited to those people who don't want to do a 9-to-5 office work. Many people who didn't go to college or university went on to become highly successful in their lives and went on to achieve the dreams of their lives and have a massive impact in the world. I wonder if their impact could have been even bigger if they had an education system tailored to their needs. So why do you want to go for an undergrad, master's, or a PhD degree? Do you want to learn a new skill? Is it your only path out of a country where you no longer want to live? Is it something required for the type of job you want to have, and your only way to get that job that you want is to have that specific degree? Think about it. It's good to have clarity about that, because education is not the only way to success, and it's definitely not the only way to happiness. Thank you for watching till the end. This video was sponsored completely by me, so if you would like to support the channel, please go to my website sadiakhaf.com, where you can subscribe to the paid version of the newsletter if you choose to support this channel for as little as $10 a month. It's up to you. And I'll see you in the next one.